everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video. And today we're going to be doing a beginner's guide to Nightwing. A brief history on Nightwing. Nightwing's real name is Dick Grayson, and he was the original Robin, the first partner to Batman. And he worked with Batman for quite some time as Robin. But eventually Robin grew up and he started becoming his own man, separating himself from Batman, leading the Teen Titans, and eventually adopting the persona of Nightwing. As Nightwing, he took control of the city of Bloodhaven, protecting it from evil and corruption, the best he could. However, he couldn't be Nightwing for long. Eventually, Bruce is thought to be dead. He isn't, but he's thought to be dead, and Dick Grayson has to take up the mantle of Batman. And he does so, with a heavy heart, but he does. He takes up the mantle of Batman, brings in a new Robin, and even takes control of the Justice League, becoming its leader. However, you can't have him be Batman for too long, because Bruce Wayne eventually returns and takes back the mantle of being Batman. Dick Grayson stays Batman for a short time, but come this relaunch, he is going to return to the role of Nightwing. Personality. Well, Dick Grayson has a very unique personality. He's a social character, which is something that you don't get too much in the Batman family. He's very charismatic, outgoing, he's smart, intelligent, decisive, and he's willing to put the lives of others before himself. He's very similar to Bruce in his methodology and how he works. He's intelligent, he's strategic, he's smart, he's a detective. He's one of the world's greatest detectives. But at the same time, he's far away from Bruce in the fact that he's not quite as Machiavellian. He's very much more of a social person. He's willing to accept help from his friends rather than do things on his own. And, well, the best way to describe it is he's a hero with a smile. Dick Grayson is his own person. He's not Batman's protege. He's not Batman's ally. He's not Batman's replacement. He is Nightwing. Powers and abilities. Nightwing has no specific powers. However, he's an incredible hand-to-hand combatant, right up there with some of DC Universe's best. Not quite at the level of, say, Batman, Lady Shiva, Richard Dragon, but he's definitely better in hand-to-hand combat than, say, Black Canary or Wonder Woman, although some people would want to debate that. It really comes down to if Black Canary and Wonder Woman are using their powers. Chances are they would win. But when it comes down to actual skill, Dick Grayson is some of the best. He's also the world's greatest acrobat. No one can move their body quite like Dick Grayson. And he's well known for his quadruple somersault, which is his signature acrobatic maneuver. But he's the king of parkour and acrobats. There is nothing that he can't do with his body. And he knows his body very intimately. He could be falling off a building and just work with whatever he has and be able to recover instantaneously. He's one of the world's greatest detectives, second only to Bruce Wayne. There is no mystery that Dick Grayson can't solve, and if he can't solve it, he'll find a way around it. He is an incredibly smart individual, a strategic mastermind, and a very decisive person. He's also skilled with multiple different weapons and multiple different technologies. He can drive cars, fly planes, ride boats. He can do a lot. As you can see, Dick Grayson has an incredible mind and one of the brightest people in the DC Universe. He's also a fantastic leader and a great team player. Any team that Nightwing has been on, with possibly the exception of the Outsiders, he has worked well. He's had fantastic synergy with his teammates, whether he's a leader or a subordinate. People who would like Nightwing's comic. Well, there's a lot of things I can talk about when it comes down to Nightwing's comic, but the only thing that I can really use for a general description is if you like Batman, but you don't want it to be quite as dark as Bruce is, Nightwing's the place to go. He's a character that's a lot more of a social individual. He smiles a lot more. He's a person that's more connected to real life. He doesn't quite have the traumatic problems that Bruce has. He's more of a well-adjusted individual. His stories can be dark, but they can also be kind of light. They're very personal stories, and as dark and personal as these stories can get, Nightwing always stays true to form. He always stays that social, happy individual. If you also like a lot of action, some dynamic fighting and action in your comics, the Nightwing is another comic that you want to go to. Not only is there combat, but there's amazing acrobats that come with it. And some of the previous Nightwing materials had some of the most dynamic art and action scenes that you may have ever seen. And you're probably going to get that with this comic coming up. Nightwing's a great character, and he's a good substitute if you don't want the darker Batman. If you want a little bit lighter-hearted Batman or someone that's just more well-adjusted, then Nightwing's the place to go. Dick Grayson is also one of the heart and souls of the DC Universe. He's connected to almost everyone in any kind of way. The Justice League, the big names like Superman, Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans, or any other superhero. He's also had a dynamic group of supervillains and rogue galleries. He's gone up against some of the toughest, and he's had enemies like the Blockbuster, Torque, Deathstroke the Terminator, as well as some of Bruce's enemies with Two-Face, Joker, so on and so forth. There's a good chance that Nightwing is going to get a new rogue gathering per this relaunch, but don't be surprised if some of his older villains show up also. With that said, this is a beginner guide to Nightwing, and this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.